देख रहे हैं सुदर्शन न्यूज।
श्री केजी केनी जी का अब तक का राजनीतिक सफर। श्री केजी केने गोइप्रा केने के पुत्र हैं। वह कम उम्र से ही विभिन्न सामाजिक गतिविधियों में शामिल हो गए। ये ध्यान दिया जा सकता है कि उनके पिता गोइप्रा केने ने 1947 में चखेसांग छात्र संघ की स्थापना की और पहले CSU अध्यक्ष बने। श्री केजी केन्याई ने पहली बार 1989 में 17वें चिजामी विधानसभा निर्वाचन क्षेत्र से आम चुनाव लड़ा और जीत हासिल की। वह तब नागालैंड में सबसे कम उम्र के मंत्रियों में से एक थे और उन्हें सिंचाई और बाढ़ नियंत्रण मंत्री के रूप में नियुक्त किया गया था। विधानसभा के एक निर्वाचित सदस्य के रूप में उनका कार्यकाल हालांकि अल्पकालिक था, क्योंकि कई संगठनों और चर्च के नेताओं ने मुख्यमंत्री स्वर्गीय श्री वामुजो के लिए अपनी सीट खाली करने के लिए उनसे संपर्क किया था, जिन्हें तब एक विधानसभा क्षेत्र से निर्वाचित होना था। आखिरकार श्री केजी केनी ने अपने समुदाय की खातिर स्वर्गीय श्री वामुजो के लिए अपनी विधानसभा सीट को वहां से चुने जाने के लिए खाली करके बड़ी जिम्मेदारी ली। स्वर्गीय श्री वामुजो चखेसांग समुदाय के पहले मुख्यमंत्री थे और मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में सेवा जारी रखने के लिए उन्हें एक विधानसभा क्षेत्र से निर्वाचित होना पड़ा, क्योंकि वे तब नागालैंड विधानसभा के निर्वाचित सदस्य के बिना मुख्यमंत्री बने थे। तो श्री केन्याई ने अपने जीवन का सबसे बड़ा राजनीतिक बलिदान दिया था। श्री केजी केनी NPF के महासचिव और मुख्यमंत्री एवं सांसद के सलाहकार बने। संसद में उन्होंने AFSP को हटाने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई और मून जिले में वोटिंग घटना के बाद और भी मजबूती से उन्होंने चुनावी सुधारों की वकालत की और केंद्रीय बजट 2019-20 पर उल्लेखनीय टिप्पणी की। वे वर्ल्ड फोरम 4.0 यानी कि चौथी औद्योगिक क्रांति के प्रवक्ता भी थे। उन्होंने उत्तर पूर्व क्षेत्र के विकास पर जोर दिया और आग्रह किया कि डोनर फंड एक उचित और व्यवस्थित प्रवाह के माध्यम से सीधे लाभार्थियों तक पहुंचना चाहिए। श्री केजी केनी ने NDPP के टिकट पर 27 फरवरी 2023 को 17 चिजामी विधानसभा निर्वाचन क्षेत्र से 14वीं नागालैंड विधानसभा के लिए आम चुनाव लड़ा और जीत हासिल की। उन्हें 14वीं विधानसभा में मुख्यमंत्री श्री नेफ्यू रियो की अध्यक्षता वाली PDA 2.0 सरकार में बिजली और संसदीय मामलों के मंत्री के रूप में नियुक्त किया गया है।
नमस्कार आप सबको, मैं हूँ तेजत अलनक्रो और आप लोग देख रहे हैं सुदर्शन न्यूज चैनल। आज हम आप लोगों के सामने बहुत ही खास व्यक्ति, नागालैंड की सबसे वेटरन और सबसे सीनियर पॉलिटिशियन में से एक है, जिनका नाम है श्री केजी केन्ये। 17 चिजामी असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं और अभी ये राज्यसभा की MPF पार्टी से फॉर्मर मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट राज्यसभा भी थे और अभी नागालैंड सरकार की पावर एंड पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स की मंत्री आज हमारे साथ खास बातचीत के लिए तैयार है। तो आइए जानते हैं इनकी इनिशियल स्टेज में ये कैसे अपने राजनीतिक career शुरू किया। आइए जानते हैं। Sir, welcome to our channel and today we would like to know your initial stage of your political activity, like way back 37 years back when the NSF martyr days, the Black Day happened. What were your initiatives in those days, sir?
Thank you. Yeah, it's many years, about 3.5 decades, that we started entering this arena in the political world. As a young student, some of the issues that we have taken up at that time, as the General Secretary of my college, Kenye College, as the President of the All Nagaland College Students Union, then the Chairman of the Naga Students Federation Action Committee, and PMHR, so many organizations we have spearheaded. Some of the earliest issues were the imposition of the Inner Line Permits Regulation Act. And the other issue was the repeal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, AFSPA, And I vaguely remember we had opposed the extension of the disturbed area belt from 5 kilometers along the McMahon line inside to 15 kilometers. These were not conducive for our society and detrimental to our interests. So early on we have staged protests and undertaken different types of agitations against the center's move as well as the state government, highlighting our anguish in the interests of our land and our people, especially in the remote areas. And so we went loggerheads with several governments, successive governments, and finally, a very sad incident was the time when the state administration in the headquarters, Kohima, they had ordered a firing order against us and our volunteers of the students who were having a peaceful protest against the order of the government, not to impose 15% of the Indian Police Services quota in Nagaland and extension of the inner line, extension of the disturbed area belt. It was on one such fateful day when 2 of our students were gunned down and injuries were caused to nearly 20 people, I remember. So following this incident, curfew 144 CRPC curfew was imposed and we started observing Black Day, yes, which stretched on for several days. That was one of the most memorable incidents that we have had during our students' career.
Right, sir. So from a student, political activist to a politician, when you have won your first election in 1989, you have vacated your seat for late Shri to be the chief minister. So this is a historical sacrifice in the history of our Naga politics. So what do you lament on that decision way back in 1989, sir?
Yeah, it was the first of its kind in the history of our state. And many compelling reasons were behind it. I come from a tribe which is backward, a scheduled tribe, and backward category, Chagasam. So here we have never got the opportunity to lead the state as a chief minister. It was on one such occasion where, unfortunately, 2 of our senior most leaders in the party, they both lost, unfortunately, coincidentally, that election in '89. And we were in the opposition. And going on and on with all these political activities, somehow, in the ensuing year, 1990, the events turned out that there was an opportunity for our late leader, Unsung, to spearhead the next government. We had toppled the Congress government. So, long story putting it short, opportunity was given to him if we could find an MLA, a constituency where he could become an MLA again within a span of 6 months' time. Such was the situation when our community, especially Chagasams particularly, we undertook a lot of consultations, and finally our people arrived at the decision that I am the youngest elected representative, so that we should vacate our seat this time for the elders who was defeated, And along with that, all our blessings will be upon us so that we can always venture into the field again with the good wishes of our people in the ensuing election. So in good faith and for the sake of the people of the state also, because he was an upright, committed leader, so we took a decision, vacated our seat, and we let him become the chief minister of the state. We returned him uncontested from our constituency. That was the story.
Okay, very interesting. Sir, you have been the 4th-time Secretary General of your MPF party since 1989. You have been the 4th-time Secretary General for the MPF party. And after you have sacrificed so much for this MPF party, this time why have you forsaken your party MPF, which is one of the oldest regional party, not only in Nagaland but throughout the country? Why have you forsaken and why have you decided to go and join some other party, NDPPP, after you have sacrificed so much for this party, sir?
Well, I think, yes, the people might want to know, particularly from this angle, why we have parted ways with a party which we have been associated with lifelong. Very unfortunate, the turn of events. I served the party in the capacity of a general secretary for 3 terms. And eventually I took over, served the party as the secretary general for 4 terms. So it was not due to any personal differences on the ideology of the party or the principle. It was not a case of anti-party activity, I must say, but we had differences in our approach to an issue called the Citizenship Amendment Bill, eventually Citizenship Amendment Act. I was sent to the Rajya Sabha in 2016 May. Now, the Citizenship Amendments Bill had just come into the Parliament also, a few months before I went. But as the Secretary General of the party, we had taken this issue up. We had studied this bill, 2016 Bill of Citizenship Amendment, amending it for the 9th time. So, in the party, we have a elders group also, comprising of 12 senior most. Office is called the core committee also. The core committee guides the president also, and we also guide the functioning of the highest policy-making body called the Central Executive Council, the CEC. We are thoroughly debated on it. When we saw the bill, we have found that there is a danger. If we support this bill and the Parliament chooses to pass it as an act, as it was in its original form, at the Northeast, which is primarily inhabited by indigenous tribals, and us, particularly Nagas, it will be detrimental for our interests by way of opening up the whole gateway for the influx of newly acquired citizens of the country through this act. And the migrants are mostly from Bangladesh and other neighboring countries, as the statement says. So it is all right. Acquiring citizenship is an issue completely of the center. The states have little or nothing much to say there. So granting citizenship is through the Parliament, and the center can do it. Our contention was, if we support this bill in its original form, then they will come and settle in our land. and eventually acquire citizenship, and they, if like Tripura, may even overwhelm our population, because we are sparsely populated here in the northeastern Nagaland. So we want some protection. We wanted some defense so that these newly acquired citizens, the illegal immigrants who will be regularized as citizens, will not thoroughfare into our land and threaten to overwhelm us. That was our case, and the CEC therefore had the resolve that we will oppose the 2016 bill. So after I went to the parliament, I know the issue well, so we've been trying to rectify that proposed bill to suit us by bringing in some kind of protection where even if the nation grants citizenships to thousands or even lakhs of people, there will be no illegal influx into our land. We'll be protected by some kind of mechanism. That was our demand. So inside Parliament or outside Parliament, you know, I've been running from pillar to post to whosoever may be able to effect some changes. And I remember at one point of time, our entire government came up also with representatives from different parties like the BJP, the NTPP, NPF, and it comprised of the CSOs like the Naga Federation, Naga Students Federation, Naga Ho, all this, you name it, whichever, and we've had interactions with the highest people who might be able to effect. In one such meeting, Amit Shah, the Honorable Home Minister at that time, he is still now also, had chaired the meeting in the Assam House. And I remember present-day Chief Minister Himanta, he was the medical minister at the time, and Mr. Sonowal, the present minister in Delhi, was the chief minister, and all the people from the Home Ministry had interacted with all of us that evening. It was in the winter session, and in about a week's time, the bill was supposed to be reintroduced into the House in December, on December 9th. So this was on the 3rd, I think. 3rd of December, and we had thorough deliberations. My last question to Honorable HM was that whether he will include the Bengal Eastern Frontiers Regulation Act into the new rectified bill. Not like 2016, but this is 2019. With these rectifications, it will be introduced or not. That evening, he assured us that it will be there, Bengal Eastern Frontiers Regulation Act. That means the Inner Line Permit Act. That is what we have been asking all through, you know. Our earliest leaders, they had asked the government of India, Sir Akbar Hydari, back in June 1947, when the NNC went and met him. This was in point number 9 of the 9 points agreement. 2 months before India got independence, but they never implemented. When the new constitution came in India after it was independent, in fact, India started writing her own constitution. It was our demand, so during the transition when the English were leaving our continent, they have accepted it, but it was never figured in the new constitution of India. So after many years or so, again in 1960, when the Naga People's Convention went, and they framed out the 16 points agreement, this again figured in point number 16 of the 16-point agreement. But it was never again put into the Constitution of India. Okay? So it is after 72 years, I don't know, by fluke or by chance, or it is God's intervention, unseen hands. This time, the bill rectifying the Citizenship Amendment Bill had carried and inserted as a new section called Section 6B, clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4, where they put in, at last they put in the Bengal Eastern Frontier Act. and gave us the land permit. And it was enacted in the parliament by both the houses, the lower house as well as the upper house. And I must say that this is a very big achievement for our people at that time. So for me, I saw it like a great victory and aspiration which our people has been, for generations hoping for, has finally been implemented. Now we have a protection. If you look into the ILP provisions of 1873, everything is there. So if this is given to us, then we have no fear. Indian may take in lakhs and even millions of people, grant them citizenship. No Indian citizenship can ever come into our side where the ILP is there. But everyone does not look at it from this aspect. Unfortunately, my own party failed to see the importance and the achievements made because of our resolutions, which we said we will in 2016. And they misunderstood my participation and support for this bill. I had told them that we will oppose 2016, but if it is rectified and our demands are made, protection is given, we will support. They couldn't understand this part, unfortunately. So they placed me under suspension on the 8th of January 2020, yeah. So they suspended me, and before I was suspended, I resigned from my post as Secretary General. So I remained suspended for about nearly 2 years after that. And of course, finally, in April, in the first week of April 2022, they had revoked my suspension. But everything has a limit. I think it crossed the boundaries and went beyond the stretch time. So I had already decided to leave the party because of the inconsistent stand of the leadership. I say it is inconsistent.
Thank you so much, sir. So, which shows that your commitment and love for the people, your affection for the land of our Naga has led to your suspension, has led to the suspension as a Rajya Sabha MP, as a Secretary General. You have been compelled to leave your oldest serving party, which you have sacrificed the rest of your life till 2020 you have committed, but which shows that your love for the people, your love for the land is much more bigger than the portfolio which has been allocated as the Rajya Sabha upper house member in the Indian Parliament. So we are very proud of you for this decision. And now coming back to our current issue, being allocated as the Power and the Parliamentary Affairs Minister under the leadership of Shri. Now you being allocated as the Parliamentary Affairs and the Power Minister, what will be your role in this upcoming ULB election, sir?
Yeah, at the outset, I'm so grateful to our people for reposing their mandate in me and electing me to the House once again. And I'm so grateful to our Chief Minister, Mr. Rio, who has inducted me as one of his cabinet ministers in the Council of Ministers. He has also allocated me very important portfolios. Departments like the power, which is a huge challenge because our state is lacking in the generation and transmission, of power in our state. So I take it as a challenge and we'll work hard to make ourselves, at least our state self-sufficient in the power sector. In the parliamentary affairs, I will do whatever is possible to assist my party, assist my leader and the government. And no sooner we took over and we are confronted with the urban local police election. Now here, it is a people's government, our government, US government, it's a people's government, and we would never wish to collide head-on with our own people. Why the haste, people say? As soon as the government is installed, we already ordered, notified for the ULB election. Many don't understand the legal aspect. The Supreme Court is behind. They are pressurizing us to conduct the ULB election because after having adopted the Nagaland Municipal Act way back in 2001, it's 2023 is about 21 years, 22 years without having properly conducted ULB elections. So the Supreme Court has asked us to conduct this election and finish the entire process before the 15th, 16th of April. That's why the government had to issue the notification to comply with the court's order. So unless we comply with the orders, it will amount to a contempt of court. So now the government has done its part by notifying. We're aware of the protests from different angles by different bodies here for various reasons, especially the 371A, where our interest is being encroached upon or being infringed, and so many other things they have asked us over the years to rectify by way of amending. The successive state governments have tried. They have tried to do what they can during that time, but it has not satisfied our people because of the women's reservation also, and the taxes imposed on the land and the buildings. So over the last few years also, I remember we have deliberated a lot and seriously upon these issues also. They are not completely wrong. The demands are genuine. Maybe somewhere some things went wrong, where we will also have to seriously retrospect and try to bring in corrective measures. But as for this time, frankly, I must say that the judiciary has to be more sensitive to the interests of the people. Because we are a people's government. Whatever authorities there, all have to be, working in tandem for the interest of people. Ultimately, that should be our objective. So, without any discriminations to any section of people, this has been flattered, notification, but it remains to be seen whether the people will cooperate with it or not. This is one issue where we cannot do without the participation and full cooperation of the public, the people. So, the government has done their part, and the rest we will see what transpires.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. So you are the voice of the 17 Chizami Assembly constituency, and not only the Chizami constituency people, the entire Chagisan community is looking up to you, having high hope on you. So as the cabinet minister for the 14th Legislative Assembly of Nagaland, what will be your new promise or the top priorities for the Chagisan community?
Yeah, I do belong to the Chagisan tribe, and I certainly have the interest at heart. But just as much as I care for this particular tribe, it also stretches out to the entire 16 tribes of the state. As a minister of the state, I am responsible and accountable to the entire state. So we will do whatever is possible in our capacity at the government level to see that we live up to the expectation of our people. We have so many serious issues confronting us now. The first primemost thing is the inter-Naga political talks, which is going on. We'll try our best to do whatever we can to bring an early solution. Then we have so many other domestic issues like the ENPO. They are in negotiation with the Home Ministry in Delhi for a separate state. We hope to resolve this also, come to our senses, and try to, step back a little bit and resolve it from within ourselves. Let us not be so drastic. We don't want further disintegration of our people again. So we hope good sense will prevail. There are so many other things, the immediate things, the ULB, then we have the register of the indigenous inhabitants of Nagaland issue, and so many other things which we hope with the support of the people will be able to resolve.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time. तो ये था हमारी साथ श्री केजी केन्ये, यहाँ नागालैंड की सबसे वेटरन पॉलिटिशियन जिन्होंने आज तक की 5-6 बार इलेक्शन चुनाव लड़ चुके हैं और अभी ये दूसरी बार यहाँ की विजेता है। पिछली बार इन्होंने 1989 में एनपीएफ पार्टी से विजेता हुए और अब इस बार एनडीपीपी पार्टी में ये फिर से 17 चिजामी असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी से विजेता हुई और यहाँ अंडर द लीडरशिप ऑफ श्री यहाँ नागालैंड 14 लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली के कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर की पोर्टफोलियो भी मिल गया। और यहाँ हम आप लोगों के सामने ऐसे अलग अलग लोग इंटरेस्टिंग व्यक्ति आप लोगों के सामने पेश करते रहेंगे। तब तक के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़ते रहे। मैं तेजु तालनाक्रो सुदर्शन न्यूज़ चैनल के लिए कोहिमा नागालैंड से।
आप देख रहे हैं सुदर्शन न्यूज।